I'm just looking at my mixer. Hang on a sec. There we go. Okay. I was just checking something. Hopefully this is a quick one. But I'm going to get myself in trouble. But I thought that it was important to start talking about this. Generally, I stay away from race. Mostly because, first of all, like, I'm a big fan of like staying in your lane, okay? I know 4 things and I can't remember the 4th thing. Okay, everything else, I just tend to stay out of it. And people might not realize that I actually just, even though the stuff I talk about might be complex and big and all that stuff, if I don't know about something, I generally keep my mouth shut. Now, and then race is part of that, which is that I tend to just listen to stories and listen and read and not be just another white lady with a fucking opinion. Okay. But this white lady needs to have an opinion on this because it's within the purview, I guess, or the scope of what I do, which is something that I've been warning about for a while now. Let me just check if the sound's working. Hang on. I think it is. Sound working? Yeah, it should be. Sorry, hang on. I was rearranging some stuff. Okay. It is kind of within the purview of what I do because this is the end result what we're seeing is, I think if people think about the last year and where I've said things were heading, which is that this combination of sort of internet mobs, the gap in law, the internet's not real life, cancel culture isn't real, I am the most oppressed, not what it meant. Okay. You sort of end up, if you're paying attention, you end up seeing rich people, influential people weaponize their so-called oppression in there's dicks flowing through there. Again, I just keep going back to it. But anyway, so I'm not usually one to do the whole, this happened on Twitter. But I want to show it because I want to show, what I want to do is show the reward, okay, the mechanisms of reward that are in place that incentivize the worst people, empower the worst mobs, allow bosses to fire who they want, and then just get gaslit and say, well, cancel culture isn't real. Now, the thing about cancel culture that's different from Australia and the US or, say, the UK is that if you lose your job in America, you lose healthcare, you don't have a safety net, you end up, it's very hard because, you end up finding it very difficult to find another job. And if you do, like, the implications of losing your job in America are very different to here. At least if you lose your job in Australia, you have healthcare if you get sick, okay? And this is why I want to show how in the wrong hands, this social justice stuff, wokeism, whatever you call it, it's really just feeding the same power centers. It is incentivizing the worst people. And this is why I've been saying it's obviously a fucking psyop, okay? Not the left, okay? Because if you say that you're a socialist and you live in the United States, and I'll show you the example, and then I just want to wrap it with a bit of an intro. But if you say that you're on the left in the United States, even if you're like maybe center left in the United States, and you cancel somebody, okay, and that means, people who watch my videos know what canceling means. But if you contact someone's employer to get them fired, it's not just getting them fired, Okay. Like I said, they lose their health care, and there's like a lot more broader implications. Okay. In Australia, workers still have, well, kind of have rights. Okay. We still have health care. We still have a welfare system and a safety net. Even though it's been eroded, it still exists. Okay. But in America, this is how I know that it is probably a US phenomenon. There's lots of, if you know the system, there's lots of signals that show that there's absolutely nothing that resembles left-wing politics in cancel culture, in this woke social justice stuff. Because everything that I know about the left wing of politics, it's counter to that. Nobody on the left would use someone's survival as a weapon against them. Nobody would use the system that is supposedly oppressive as a tool for their own minor grievance with somebody. It's not about race. I don't like talking about race, but I'm going to say it's not about race. And the people who think it's about race won't fucking believe me, because that's where we are now. But it's not. It's actually about righteousness. It's about righteousness in politics. And I said this before about how righteousness becomes radicalized and radicalized becomes violent. And for the people who say that words are violence, they're certainly like yielding institutional violence as much as possible. And part of the reason that I know that this is America is because not only when someone loses their job, it's not just they lose their, this is how, again, they show how elite they are. These blue check cancellers, which is that it probably doesn't even occur to them that people lose their health care, or that their health care in a pandemic is tied to their employment. That unemployment is linked to insurance, which is at the discretion of the employer and the government. If they think that, again, I don't know, I'm just generalizing. Basic survival in America is linked to your job. Okay. Some people work 3 jobs just to get by. A lot of working poor live on food stamps and all of that stuff. Weaponizing employment. This is not benign. This is not, ooh, I lost my fucking book deal. Okay. This is, I lost my life. I lost my right to survive. I lost my ability to survive. I lost my ability to feed my family. Now, a large portion of Americans, I think it's at least a third of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency. Okay? And this is why we need some class analysis with this fucking cancel shit. Most people don't have savings where they could weather something like an internet mob. And this is why this woke shit, which is, it doesn't resent, if you are on the left for the right reasons, and you know that it's economics, you know these statistics, you know that most people anywhere under $100,000, okay, because the cost of living is now so high, okay, rents are high, cost of living is high. In America, you've got, insecure work, okay, casualized workforces, at will employment, your health care tied to work. That's an abusive and oppressive structure. Those things are what make you left-wing. If you use that system as a weapon, by definition, you are not on the left. Okay? It's just by definition, you're not. Okay? Because I've always said that politics is behaviour. It's not what you fill out. Everyone puts the best version of themselves in a political compass. The problem with self-report, everyone fucking thinks they're the hero of their own story. And when they're asked to fill out a quiz on it, especially with self-report, generally, you know what the question is. No one's going to say, I believe X, Y, Z on something when they identify as something else. Okay, when you identify as left-wing and put a whole bunch of branding investment into it, you're going to be answering these questionnaires and you're going to be saying lots of things. But I pay more attention to what people do. That's just how I am. I tend to pay attention to actions. And this guy has nothing to do with the fucking left. And if he does, then I'm not fucking there anymore. but he's not. They're right-wingers. But I think people need to start reframing this stuff as, first of all, it's weaponized, most of the thinking and language and appearance of the left, but it is not left-wing. Okay, so first of all, someone who is on the left would not weaponize employment against a worker. They would not weaponize human resources, which are basically corporate cops. They would not weaponize someone's health care and right to health care during a global pandemic on a worker. They would not take away someone's health care over a minor fucking grievance, okay? It's just not that. It's just not that. Those are pillars of the left, okay, and social justice. Now, I'll just show you the thing. I'm going to show it to you because, this isn't a race thing. I'm ignoring the race part. I'm normally hesitant to talk about race. But the one thing that I've observed about this is that this chilling effect that we've got going on right now, where even if you say it's not about race, you say that it's not this, you even talking about it, well, putting class analysis in, ignoring this fact that, he's basically harassed a woman on the street. And last year we saw a video, okay, of a so-called Karen, this Karen hunting thing that went down a few times last year. And I think I talked about it on video, which was, there was a woman there, middle-aged woman, cowering and begging this young man to fucking let her be, leave her be. And he recorded that, put it on the internet to a fucking 100,000 dumb fucks and evil fucks, an empowered mob who didn't see a woman begging for this man to leave her alone. They saw this as justice. And it's the same thing with this. Okay, so I want to show you, again, this has nothing to do with the fucking issue. Okay, I don't care whatever she said. It was probably a misunderstanding from what I can see. We don't see the original interaction. All we see is him dosing out some justice for what he said happened, and that's another thing. If you're in PR and you're in comms, then you know what to leave out. So anyway, I don't believe him. Anyway, so let's just show you this, shall we? Hang on, let me get it up first. Where are we? Sorry, hang on. I've been fucking talking, tweeting a lot today. I accidentally closed the tab. Just give me a sec. Okay, so all right, this should show up. There we go. Now, so this guy, author, I think, cynical. Apparently, he's had a history of, apparently he's had a history of like doing this sort of shit before. So, but this is what we empower when we make excuses for this stuff. When you post that black square on Instagram, okay, when you post, and don't mean it, okay, it's not a genuine expression. When you feel coerced to speak, when you feel bullied into silence, this is what you empower, okay? Now, let's look at this. Let's get a read of this thing. So at the dog park in Brooklyn with my fiance, right? And this white woman was threatening to call police and told us to stay in our hood. Now, this is what he said happened. She said, stay in your hood. Okay. I can see how that may have been, might have thought that I was joking or something. He interpreted it as racist, but we don't know. Okay. This is the major crime that this woman committed, was saying, stay in your hood and defending herself. Now, because she had our dog confused with another dog who'd been barking loudly. Horrible. What a horrible woman. Now, I would like to point out, this is at night in a park, okay? She's tiny. Now, so I started recording. She tried to slap the phone out of my hand. Honestly, if you'd stuck a phone in my face, I'd have slapped and not stopped recording when I asked you to stop. If you started filming me without my consent, I'd fucking knock the thing out of your hand.
Everyone. Stay in our.
So I see this differently.
No.
Hang on.
Stay in our.
Go back to me. There we go.
No. Stay in our. Stay in our hood. I'm sorry, what? Stay in our hood? Stay in our hood. You just told us to stay in our hood? You just told us to leave the dog park and stay in our hood.
Oh my God, did you just say that to me? Shit. Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
I'm sorry, you were right here, watch this entire thing. Did she just not stand here and tell us to stay in our hood?
She did.
You just told us to stay in our hood?
Now, I'm going to yes and this one, and I'm going to assume that identity matters. I'm going to assume that the oppression ladder is a thing and that, this is a big misunderstanding and this is a clash of rights. So as a woman, walking out on my own at night, I say I feel uncomfortable on my own. I made a mistake. I misunderstood the dog. I thought that was the guy's dog and that, whatever. That's what happens. Then a man who is twice the size of me and his companion, fiance, I believe, a white man, I think. I didn't check. Fuck it. But I'm saying what I saw in the video. If you're that woman, you see two men walking up to you. He has his camera in your face. You make a joke because I know that when women feel uncomfortable, what women do is they try to diffuse the situation with a joke. Okay? Bad joke. Probably, I don't know. I'm not going to judge whether it was highly offensively racist or not. I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably a bit benign. They then stand over her, start filming her without her consent, and start berating her and tricking her and sort of repeating that, oh, did you say this? You can obviously tell this is obvious fucking harassment from the beginning. She then slaps the phone out of his hand. He then posts this to 116,000 followers on Twitter. Now, let's continue, shall we? So, and for those asking, this was in Williamsburg and she was screaming, River, come on. So I guess her dog's name is River. Yeah, okay. And for others who are saying one of us should have put hands on her, so a bunch of people said, well, you should have defended yourself physically. This is your brain on wokeism, which is that you have a bunch of people on the internet telling men to put their hands on women who defended, from all I can see, she fucking defended herself and acted like any woman who'd been stood over at night in a park by two men, like fucking hell. But this is why woman matters, because this is the end result of making women, fuck me. So, and for others, this is what you empower. And for others who say one of us should have put hands on her, all that would have resulted in is one or both of us in jail and potentially me shot by police. So if you'd assaulted her and not done nothing wrong, because who wouldn't hit a lippy woman, I would have been more of a victim in that situation. See, there's twisted thinking. This is what you empower with this shit. This. It's not about the issue. It's what you empower and it's what you're responsible for and the outcome, which is that you have 100,000 people out for blood. Update. Someone on my Instagram seems to have found her. Her name is Emma Saar. Posts her LinkedIn. Yeah, unless she has a twin who lives in Brooklyn, this is her. 116,000 followers. The person just sent screenshots. It's definitely her. And guess what he does? Hey, CEO. I see that Bevy HQ is attempting to be better about race, equity, etc. Thought you should see this. I'm hoping black colleagues and peers don't have to face this sort of racism from Emma. She didn't do anything. She didn't fucking do anything except defend herself and make it again, it could have been the most horrifically racist thing. But he doxed her. He sent a mob after her and he seems very oppressed and not very powerful to me. And then he took his call. Who takes the call? of someone who is not powerful. I can't get a fucking call with the CEO. Spoke with Derek J. Anderson briefly, hoping that Bevy leans into accountability, i.e. backs down to my threat, and finding ways to make change in light of their employees' racist behaviour outside of hours, which an employer cannot fucking police. Waiting for an update. Fucking psychopath. And then we hear Emma has been terminated. I do hope people learn. I hope people learn that there are consequences for their behaviour. What behaviour? What fucking behaviour? She didn't do anything. She said, fucking probably a bad joke, go back to your hood, which you took out of context and then fucking tried to corner her in a park at night, a woman on her own, 2 men. What the actual fuck? So anyway, let's watch this, shall we? Let's watch this.
I think that it's important that people know that there are etc. So I was just told that Bevy has terminated Emma Sarley after her racist attack against my fiance and I in the dog park. And while it's unfortunate that she had to lose her job, I do.
So while it's unfortunate that she had to lose her job, she didn't have to.
Think that this brings up an important conversation about accountability, especially in a country where Black and brown people, marginalized people as a whole, have seen so little of it oftentimes, right? Having to bear the burden of racism, sexism, homophobia, etc.
Sexism,
I think it's important that people know that there are consequences for their actions, right? And I don't think that it's up to victims to have to coddle.
So he doesn't think it's up to victims to have to coddle their perpetrators. So when she said, go back to your hood, and you took it as her as the oppressor, despite the fact that women are murdered every fucking day by 2 men in a park. This is what wokeism does, people. This is what it does.
People who are engaging in
separate
abuse.
From social justice.
When I woke up yesterday morning, I didn't expect to have to be a part of this conversation. I
didn't expect to have to be part of this conversation that I willingly posted video of and pursued.
And expect to go to the dog park as a Black person and have to receive racism. So while again it is unfortunate what happened, I hope that Emma learns from this. I hope that other people learn from this who engage in abusive, racist, and destructive behavior, because ultimately whether Emma lost her job or not doesn't take away the trauma that have. It doesn't take away the feeling of feeling like anything racist can happen anywhere. So I don't think that people should be coddled. And I do think that consequences are important. So hopefully this is a learning lesson for everybody.
I don't know about you, but I think it is a lesson for everybody, which is the end result of this bullshit, which is that this man, check mark, 116,000 followers, okay, published author, Forbes under 30, marketer, okay,
in the dog park,
can claim he's oppressed,
that she had to lose her job,
harass a woman on the street,
this brings up an important
and feel empowered
about accountability
by thousands of idiots. In fairness, the ratio is pretty fucking brutal, but empowered by an ideology that puts this guy
having to bear the burden
at the top of the oppression ladder against 2 men standing over a woman.
I think that it's important that people know that there are consequences.
I don't know, right? Whatever, but disproportionate response. Even if she had said some slur, okay, which she did not.
Engaging in abuse.
This is a disproportionate response, but it empowers him. The fact that he gets to turn around now and say, I'm sorry, you were fired,
I didn't expect
You've got to
go
have
dog park as a black
consequences for your
person,
actions.
and
This is abuse.
have to
This is
receive,
abusive language.
racism.
If you've ever been in a
You know,
violent
so
situation,
while again it is unfortunate what happened, I
you
hope
know that people say
you
that this
Emma
shit's for
learns
your
from
own
this.
good.
I hope
I hope
that
you learn from this.
other people learn from
Okay.
this who
Now,
engage in abusive, racist.
look at all these people that are cheering her on. Okay. Hang on. Okay, hang on. The ratios are probably caught up, but there's a whole bunch of people, you know. Look at this. Oh, the warp speed of this assailant claiming victimhood. I'm sorry she did this. She did this to you. Another male book author. All of these men who came out. Does she know that's assault? Anyway, this thread is just insane. Anyway, it's not the point. It's not about, again, I'm trying to dance around the race thing. It's hard to talk about this issue without it making it somehow about race, but whatever the fuck. Who cares? Don't give a fuck. Now, so I'm not going to stay too long, but I just want to say that I'm going to use this as an example of the excesses of this. Now, this wasn't for him. Intersectionality came out of the feminist movement, second wave feminism in the United States, okay, which is different. And it was an idea that oppression was with on top of women's oppression, okay, you had other intersecting oppressions, okay, race being one, class being another, and this matrix of oppression, the more of those that you have, the more that oppressed you are. Not black people are at the fucking top. And I mean, I actually said this, okay, which is that the only privilege I've ever had is that I'm white. And the only oppression this dude's ever had is that he's fucking black. Okay, who's more oppressed? Okay, now again, I'm just going to say that truth. That's not a racist fucking statement. That's a fact. And this is a co-opting of what was true and legitimate fucking criticism of the feminist movement and continues to be legitimate criticism of the government and systems of the United States. Again, different countries are different. This is why I don't go into race because that you just can't win. It's bullshit. Because this is how you empower fucking mobs and empower psychopaths, and nobody says anything. And meanwhile, this man cornered a woman in the street. When she moderately defended herself, okay, did fuck all wrong that I can see, okay, he got her fired. And which, again, during a pandemic, that means no healthcare. Okay. Empowered by a whole bunch of people with blue checks, which means they get the endorsement of Twitter, they get the endorsement of Facebook. They're allowed to do this. That's not how people learn. Okay. That's how you get people to fucking hate you. For what, you know, like, and again, I'm staying away from race. I'm saying individual to individual. I think this person is a fucking psychopath. And I think he's a terrible, terrible person who is using legitimate issues as cover to bully people. And I think we need to address this because that is actually incitement. That's doxing, that is harassment. That employer has unfairly dismissed a woman who did fuck all wrong under the pressure from a psychopath. Because we all know that male solidarity is the fucking real thing here. When it's two men against a woman, the woman goes. Fuck this shit. But also, no socialist would do this. No one on the left would do this. This guy writes his grifty fucking woke books, calls himself oppressed when he's got no fucking oppression that I can see other than the colour of his skin. Seems to me like you've got a lot more power than me, mate. Fucking prick. And like, I don't know, this happened last year and it keeps happening and people just ignore it. And the reason why people ignore it is because they're afraid. They're afraid to say, enough, this is not acceptable behaviour. Now, I did this earlier today. I wrote a thing which was basically, well, I can understand your legitimate grievance. Okay, I can understand your pain, but it doesn't make it okay. What about women with postnatal depression who kill their children? People they judge her and don't understand that. What about the man who's alienated from his children and, sets his family on fire? Okay, everyone demonizes him. They've all both got reasons, but it crosses a line. There's still a perpetrator. It's still horrific. The behavior itself is still horrific. And politics is not about what you say or write down or, make money doing or, the noises you make. Your politics is your actions. And all I see is a bully who, during an economic crisis, used his power to take away someone's healthcare and livelihood and survival. The ultimate weapon of the United States. You want to eat? Do what we say. You want to survive? You do what we say. You want to eat? You do what we say. That ain't a left-wing position. Anyway, I'm going to go. That was a short one, but I just wanted to say that. But also, this isn't how people learn. There's things called extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic motivation. Most people have an intrinsic motivation to be good. Okay, most people are good. This guy is not good. He is somebody who is completely motivated by external forces and motivated by all the wrong things. And these people have infiltrated the left wing of politics, kicked us out. And they're wearing us like they're wearing us like a fucking skin suit. Making us look bad. We need to start calling this stuff out. If you're on the left, you need to start seeing this shit for what it is, which is entryism and a takeover by people who are not good. They're bad people. But also they serve the machine, the exact system that the left are trying to fight, which is why I say they're controlled opposition. How many of us can call up a CEO or tweet at a CEO, get a call, and have an employee fired? Doesn't seem that oppressive to me. I can't. I can't. My only power is telling people when my Uber food is cold on the app, and I feel guilty about that. How does this person sleep at night? I feel bad about complaining in a restaurant when it's actually fucking like a problem. Guy's a psychopath. But he's empowered by other psychopaths, and that's a problem online. And we need to start addressing this stuff in law and not seeing, again, there's this thing. It's like cancel culture isn't real. Cancel culture isn't real. The internet's not real life. These are not real scars. Well, yeah, the end result of your actions is that this person has lost her livelihood in America, which means she's lost everything. You assume that she's, because of the colour of her skin, that she's got savings or that she can survive this or that she's, turning away job offers like you and your rich fucking mates who can just walk into your uncles and brothers and, you can just get jobs. Most people can't just get jobs. They usually have months of lag trying to find new jobs. If she gets sick in the next 6 months, she gets $100,000 in healthcare bills. I just wish these people would stop fucking lying about being on the left. At least then the real left would know who their actual fucking enemies are, which is these people. It's got nothing to do with the colour of his skin. If he was, I assume he's gay as well, but I'm saying it's got nothing to do with anything. It's about how he relates to people and where his politics are his actions. And I would say the exact same thing about feminists and have. I would say the exact same thing about anyone else on the left who behaves and conducts himself in this way. And I have in the past. People need to get clear on what their fucking politics is. And I believe that it is your actions and it is your behaviour and it is your conduct. When you pay attention to people's values and thoughts and intentions tend to spill out. Right? So Lika said, hard listening. The badger Karen into submission thing is more and more common. And I've noticed there really is no mental gate when people badger women like this. No. And I saw it. It's just, and women see this. That's why I'm horrified that there's women who go along with this. You either must be so privileged that you haven't been in that situation where a man corners you in public. You'd never been out on your own ever and never experienced that discomfort. Or you lack empathy, or you think that somehow by sucking up to these guys that you're going to like get somewhere. But then you also have, these guys who just, men don't get it. They don't get how women gamble with their lives every time they walk out in public at night. Again, I don't run my life with fear. But that is the crapshoot. That is what being a woman is that every time you walk out or you go out drinking or anything like that, there is a chance that could be the last fucking night of your life. If you have some sort of altercation with the wrong guy. Okay, now I'm not saying it's a massive thing. I'm saying it's just something that is internalized and normalized. And that you also know that if something happens to you, you're going to be alone in that. And that now there's actually going to be a vicious fucking internet mob. If that guy happens to be like a certain race or a certain or be fucking trans or whatever, then somehow the woman is painted as the perpetrator and there's 100,000 people cheering that on. Now, thankfully, people see sense. And the ratio on this is pretty brutal. And I don't normally get into Twitter shit. I only care about Twitter shit when it fucking is an abuse of power. And this is an absolute abuse of power. And, I meant to go to the Dead and the Damned. Thank you for becoming a patron, by the way. I will write to you. I've just been busy. But upper middle class best-selling author, probably university educated. If only I could be so oppressed. Then he gets some random woman fired and says he's got no power. Yeah, and then he basically uses the language of a narcissistic abuser and a domestic abuser, which is any woman who has been, cowering in a corner for the violent man knows that is the exact words that he uses. He is a bully. This is a psychopath, and everybody needs to fucking pull their heads in and stop enabling these people because they are, or stop pretending that they're left wing. Okay, stop pretending that they aren't misogynists. Stop pretending they aren't narcissists. Stop pretending they aren't abusers, and stop pretending that the left wing uses capitalism. Because I thought we didn't like capitalism. I thought that capitalism was an inherently abusive situation where holding someone's livelihood over their head, that survival was dependent on you doing what some rent-seeking capitalist boss or landlord says. I thought that was pretty much the skeleton of being on the left. Silly me. Turns out you just need to be rich and say things and identify as things. And again, let me qualify, I'm not being dismissive of race relations in America. That should be a fucking given. I'm not capitulating to that bullshit anymore. I've always been an ally. I have always, fought the right fights, and I will not tolerate these people using legitimate social issues in order to fucking feather their own nest and use the very institutions they claim they're fighting as a weapon and a tool over some minor fucking grievance because some woman looked at you funny. Get fucked. And I'm sorry, but if I was her, I would be doing this too, and I'm doing it in twofold, and I would break your fucking phone on your head. So go fuck yourselves. But I was going to be more academic about this, but I'm actually just incensed by it because we just keep being gaslit and pretending and kicked out of our own fucking political parties and shut out of our own jobs, and all these diversity and inclusion fuck faces who went to better universities than me, have always had more money and connections than me, and always all of this shit. And because I happen to have been born white, and again, I'm not whatever. It's like, class has to matter. All of these things matter. And this shit is obviously a distraction from class and real social and economic inequality. And this guy has absolutely shown that it is a complete and utter weapon to distract people from the reality, which is that America is a fucking death cult and that it's perfectly fine to weaponize employment so long as you make the right noises. No, it's not okay. But I want it on record that this guy, during a pandemic, robbed this woman of her health care. That's the end result of your actions. If she gets COVID and dies, well, she either gets a $100,000 bill or no health care. Wow, you're a real fucking warrior for justice, aren't you? Prick. Anyway, I won't hold back, Taya. Let loose, Taya. Tell us what you think, Taya. Cancel yourself, Taya. Go fuck yourselves, Kafka fucks. This is what real left wing looks like. Standing up to power, and you are power. Stop your rich kid nonsense. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm in trouble. I fight this shit from the left. Try and fucking call me right wing. I will have a fucking brain fight with you any day. Anyway, I love you. You want to go? I'm done with my hate speech. RIP my channel. Bye.